Awesome. So now we're going to talk about Ford's secret and how you can use the power of thought and perseverance, and moreover, the power of just complete and total commitment to yourself and your thoughts to create real success in the marketplace. Super cool stuff. We'll go over to the computer. So with Ford's secret, it starts off really, really cool. He was in his, factory. He's like, hey, I'm Henry Ford. I'm the coolest guy ever. And we want to make a new engine block, right? So he wanted to make an 8-cylinder in, one engine block so that his car would have one engine. So he had all his engineers. He said, hey, guys, I really want you to go and make this engine block. And they were like, God, dude, this is like impossible. There's no freaking way you can do this. But, Ford was like, look, you know what? We're going to make it happen. Just make it happen. So he tells them he believes in them. And so they go out and they keep working and working. They do that for 6 months. Then they come back to Ford and they say, hey, dude, you couldn't really do it. I don't know what to tell you. Ford says, that's okay. Just keep going. Keep going. So then they go for another 6 months. And then they say, hey, Ford, this is impossible. And look, you got to remember, word impossible. I'm going to write it down here. I never want you to write this word down. Possible. Scratch it out. Delete it. Okay? Just remove that word from your dictionary. Because if you can keep that thought in your mind, you can keep believing in it, and you can just keep pushing towards it, you can get there. So for Ford, all he had to do was keep reminding himself and his team over and over and over and over that it was possible. That it was possible. And once he did that, after the first year, his guys, they said, okay, well, I guess you just have to keep doing it, because it's the only thing they could do, right? That was their job. And they made it. And they finally made it. They made their 8-cylinder engine. Or their engine block. Really cool stuff. And that's how they made, the V8 motor. Super awesome stuff. And it all comes from the determination to get it done, because you don't stop going for it. And he just wouldn't listen to anyone who told him it was impossible, because he knew that, hey, this is what has to happen. This is what the best thing to do is. In this edition, they talk a little bit more about the successes of Gates and how he just kept going and going and going to work towards his overarching goal, like we talked about in the last episode or the last module, about his success in the software space. And it all comes down from that overarching goal all the way up here. So for Ford, that overarching goal was cars. For Gates, that overarching goal was, computers. So it's all about aligning yourself with that goal, and then the actions that Ford took were to get there. The actions that Gates took when he had, tons and tons of people going on this huge project, and, dropping out of Harvard so he could focus entirely on his software company. It all comes down to that overarching goal. So really powerful reformation there, and just awesome content there. Now after this, we get to a really cool spot where we talk a little bit more about thought, because look, here's the deal. And it says it right here. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. You can control your life, the outputs of your life. I mean, here's you, right? Now, you can control yourself, your actions, your output, all by mastering one thing. And that one thing, which is so important, will make it huge, really big. You gotta master your thoughts. Because what you think about, what you envision in your mind, is what will eventually manifest itself in reality. So if you have negative thoughts, you can manifest negative things. So you want to have positive thoughts and goals. Positive goals. And also positive affirmations, right? So and if you don't want to wake up in the morning every day and say, oh, I don't like how I look, or something like that. Like I found this one thing that really pumps me up. And it was really cool. I was talking to my teacher about it from SATS, and it was, you say to yourself, I look amazing this morning. I am God's gift to woman on this earth. Like, how can that not make you feel better about yourself? What my teacher would do is for positive affirmations, like you just look in the mirror, and no matter what, you say, I look amazing today. 100%. Total conviction in yourself. Because when you have total belief in yourself, it's going to, bump up that confidence. Oh, wait, I can't write there because my face is probably going to be there. So let me change colors. Increase confidence. It's going to increase your daily momentum. And pump up that drive. That drive is what's going to get you to that long-term goal. It's all about that daily motivation to get you that confidence, to motivate everything to get you to that long-term goal. That's just the really, really big overarching thing that you're working towards, and we'll get more towards that in just a second. But it's super, super important to have positivity throughout everything you do to create the results that allow your personality type and allow you personally to get to the exact state you need to be in to find that success in whatever it is that you're doing, because you want to position yourself as the biggest player in your space, especially if you have goals that are really big and out there, and maybe you want people to follow you, maybe you want to influence a lot of people, maybe you just want to have an impact on a lot of people, or maybe you just want to grow your family. Whatever it is, for a lot of people, it's getting some people to listen to you or to understand you. If you want that to happen, the first thing that has to happen is total and complete conviction in yourself for yourself. You have to be your number one fan before other people start to become your own fan or become your fans, right? Or before you start to accrue the success or the wealth or the goals, which we'll get to in a minute, that you want to get to. Because for the universe, for whatever, to give you whatever you're seeking, you want to make sure that you yourself are giving your mindset and your personality and your confidence the best chance to get that result, to get that area of confidence in your life, all by controlling your thoughts, having positive thoughts, and the thoughts that are going to get you exactly where you want to be, the thoughts that are going to push you towards the better future that you're looking for, which is super, super, super important. A really, really, really good example, and I'm going to throw this one as a bonus because it's super, super cool. We'll just clear this off because this is really powerful. It was Steven Spielberg, right? And he wanted to be a super, super big director. Now, he goes on his little tram on a Hollywood tour, and he goes into some of these production studios, and everyone else is over here. They're on the tour. They're having a whole awesome time, and they're doing their thing. But Steven, he realizes, hey, look, I really want to actually be here. This is where I see myself. So what he did was he got out, kind of ran away, and just sort of hid until the tour ended. And no one really found him. And then once the tour ended, what he did was really cool, and this is why you guys definitely want to grab a copy of this and actually read it for yourself. It's really, really, really powerful stuff. But what he did was he just started, after everyone left, he went and he just sort of started walking onto sets and started meeting people. So he would go, and then he would meet, the directors. He would meet the producers. Whoever he could meet, he would just say, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Steven Spielberg. Just got here. Really cool to meet you. He started to create this mastermind of Conrads, and we'll talk more about the mastermind principle later. But really important part here is the fact that he separated himself from the people he didn't want to be with, which were just like tourists, and he got to the people that he did want to be near by controlling his thoughts and then using those thoughts. He thought, okay, this is what I want. Then he had his actions brought him, they reflected what he wanted, and then he used those actions to get in front of the people he wanted, to create the mastermind that he wanted, so that he could be part of a new set on Hollywood. So after that, it takes a while to build relationships and to grow and prosper. So what he did was he would he walked out that first day, and he made a point, right, when he was leaving, to meet to really say hi to the guard. And he made like direct eye contact with the guard, and he said, "Hey, I'll see you later," and then made started to meet him. So that's what he did, and he left. He came back the next day. He was dressed up in a nice suit, nice tie, had a little briefcase, and he walks in. He sees the guard again. And the guard remembers him. He says, "Hey." They say hi. He just walks in. And people kind of assumed he was like an intern or something, or like a student. No one really knew what was up. They didn't realize that this was just some guy who had an insane passion and an unbeatable drive to get into the film industry, to get in the movie industry. And because of that, he took his thoughts and created resources for himself. He was right. This is super, super big. If you don't get anything else from this, get this 1-1-1 concept. It'll change your life. Resources versus resourcefulness. Right? So with Spielberg, he maybe didn't have the resources to, actually get a job in Hollywood, or otherwise, he really wanted to be a director. He did, become a director. That's a big ask, right? That's tough. That's tough to do. You got to take a lot of education. You have experience. He didn't really have, the experience. He didn't have maybe the connections. So he didn't have really most of the resources that people would think are needed to fulfill his thought, right? Because his desire was to be a director. So, most people, if they want to be a director, they don't have any of this stuff. Sometimes they'll just quit. Well, that's not what Spielberg did. That was he had this desire, and he was going to make it happen. So what he had to do was he had to sort of separate himself and say, okay, well, look, I don't necessarily have all the resources right now. So what could he do to be resourceful? So he sort of deviated. He said, okay, I'm going to go over here, and I'm actually going to be resourceful. So he found out a way to get into Hollywood, and then he kind of like hid, and then he just started grinding. He started making relationships. He started getting in front of his dream clientele, the people he wanted to work with, his dream situation for the future. He got in front of them, and then once he got in front of them, he was able to start working towards his goals. He was able to start working towards his thoughts. He was able to do exactly what he wanted by getting closer and closer to his thoughts and desires, using resourcefulness, making it happen with what he had, because that's all he could do, right? He goes out there and he starts. He just kind of like after a couple weeks of just walking around, he just like picked out an office somewhere and put his name on it, and just kind of like went in there and just chilled and kind of just like worked in there like he worked there. Like he wasn't getting paid, he wasn't on payroll, he was just, he just walked into an office. It was a vacant office and took it over. And then he listed his name on the building directory. And you just the power of his thought, he just kind of faked it till he made it. And that's exactly what happened. He was working there, and he actually got the chance to show the head of production his college film. So because he put the work in to meet all these people and to get in front of so many people in Hollywood in this area where he was technically not supposed to be, but he just made it happen. That brought him all the way over here to meet this guy, and then he got to show him his high school film project. And he said, hey, this is a really good film project. I like the movie that you made. Super cool stuff. Why don't you go? And he actually got to direct, the Sugarland Express, which was his first movie. And it didn't work out. It was a pretty bad movie. But it was like a really good movie according to like the critics. But in the box office, it didn't do very well. So, that was a starting point. And then after that, he was able to use that to get, and actually, produce Jaws and just have huge success afterwards. Also because, right, when the Sugarland Express didn't do particularly well in the box office, it didn't make a whole lot of money. what he did was he said, look, it's okay. I got to persevere. I got to keep going. I got to push hard. I want to be a successful director, so I'm just going to keep on going. And actually with Jaws, they already had a director. A different director. Before Spielberg. And you know, she came in and he said, look, I made this movie. It was really, really good, according to the critics. I'll tell you what, I think you should let me do it. Let's make it happen. He spoke to his people. He leveraged the audience that he built, and he used that power base to go and actually take over the production of the movie, because he desperately wanted to create that movie. And he had the self-confidence, he had the determination, he had the drive. Remember, just a little bit ago, we talked about the importance of total conviction and belief in yourself. Not an ounce of self-doubt was generated by the technical financial failure of the Sugarland Express. He did not worry about that whatsoever. What he did do was completely believe in himself and what he was doing, and he just kept going harder and harder and harder. And because of that, he had the conviction to actually get in front of the Jaws people, convince them that he should be the person to do it. He persuaded them to let him do it. He produced the movie. Ridiculously huge success. It was one of the biggest box office releases like ever at the time. Huge success. And all because he was able to keep going. And then, you know, he makes several other movies, Indiana Jones, The Color Purple, Empire Sun, E.T., tons of success afterwards, all from, you know, Jaws, and then just the continued perseverance, right? This man started as a tourist on a attraction ride to Disney, and the only thing that got him to being, you know, one of the biggest directors in the industry was his thought that, and the desire and the burning passion he had to go and find that success in his life and to create this film industry legacy that would last for years and years and years after the fact, because he realized he could use his resourcefulness to go out there and create the results he wanted by faking it till he made it, and then just going through the system and being there with people and using that to get himself into the opportunities that opened up doors for the future and allowed him to get through his thoughts to his goal. Now, you gotta look at me, right? If you're Steven Spielberg, do you think this guy woke up every morning and said, oh man, I really hope I can get by today and be a good director or something? Or maybe if I'm lucky, I'll even get to see a set. Like, no, this man woke up every single day with full and complete conviction that he was an amazing director and produced best-selling movies that changed lives and were just awesome for his audiences, made people extremely happy. He didn't wake up with a sense of average. He didn't wake up thinking, oh, I'm just a Hollywood tourist. He didn't wake up thinking, oh, how could I do this? This is impossible. I don't have the resources. He had the complete and total conviction in his thoughts and his reinforcing thoughts and his positive thoughts that brought him to his long-term goal by enabling him to go out there and create these ridiculous results that all came from him and his total belief in his thoughts, and then manifesting those thoughts and those ideas into actions that brought him through the systems, that brought him through the steps to actually get the result he desired. Really powerful stuff here, guys. Super excited to expand on it. And I'll see you guys in the next module. Thank you.